Come, let us explore the ugly truth about karma your meditation teacher hides. The root text that we are going to use to answer this or to explore this further is found in the 10th passage of the vast expanse of the diamond-like mind, also known as Dorje Sampa Namkache, composed about 14 centuries ago by Prahe Vajra. Translated from the Tibetan by Chokyel Namkai Norbu, translated from the Italian by Adriano Clemente, adapted and amplified by yours truly. So, what I'd like very much is for us to relaxingly recite this passage 4 times. And between repetitions, I'll give explanations. Together. That which is the equality of all distinctions is erroneously conceived by saying it is punitive karma. Were it really under the power of unalterable fate, self-originated wisdom could not exist. So I'm going to reach for two, visual aids. Please bear with me while I do this. Let's hit copy. And let's go over here. Okay. Going to hit paste. And now I'm going to hit, oh, there we go. Excellent. Now, let's see where that gets cut off on the screen. Okay, and now let's skedaddle to the left and copy and return to the right, which sounds disturbing, taken out of context, and hit the old paste-a-rooney. Let's see if this can fit here. Let's make this hit. Let's hit, okay, that should work. Let's verify that real quick, and then I will resume the explanation that has not begun. Okay. All right. Okay. Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks, but not in a fun, tingly way. What could that suckiness look like? That suckiness goes by many names, but my favorite description would be Yang's religious patriarchy, which also applies to those of my atheist friends who are secular. Whether one believes in a real or imagined celestial entity, if one chooses and enthusiastically embraces being rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel, then one could find oneself being very excited about coercing others, sometimes with the quote-unquote best of motivations. One of the ways people attempt to control other people is through fear, coercing them with physical violence or the promise of supernatural violence after death. This is known by many names, including an unfortunate rebirth, or hell, or the like. There are a minority of meditation teachers who embrace what some would describe as proto-Buddhism. When Buddhism was limited to just a handful of discourses, the Four Noble Truths, the Eightfold Path, and the four, the four bases of mindfulness and mindfulness with breathing. Way back then, Buddhism was simple. The Eightfold Path, none of those scriptures, none of those writings, none of those discourses mention anything about karma. None of those mention anything about reward or punishment. But 50% of the Buddha's Eightfold Path pertains to loving kindness. None of those scriptures I just mentioned, none of those four discourses mention an exhaustive code of ethics. But they do mention the importance of mindfulness and meditation. Loving kindness. Some of the greatest Buddhist yogis have insisted the essence of morality is simply nonviolence. It is simply loving kindness of intention, communication, conduct, and even commerce. The Four Noble Truths speaks not of hell, speaks not of unfortunate rebirth. The Buddha did not preach a gospel of prosperity. He did not say, do this and you'll have a mansion on a hilltop. He did say, do this and you will have a more fulfilling life. That's it. There are many teachers who are rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel, and they get off on kicking people when they're down. When people come to them for spiritual counseling, explaining of misfortune, whether it be circumstantial or physical or personal or mental, the first thing they do is accuse them. They perform a form of victim blaming and accuse them of creating some sort of bad karma that earns such a thing. I've seen this done in every sect of Buddhism. I've seen this done in every sect of religion that I have dealt with. Now within certain subsects you will find exceptions to this rule. People who, instead of following Yang's religious patriarchy, follow Yin's spiritual matriarchy. These people enthusiastically embrace the path of being flexible, loving, rational, laid back, egalitarian, lucid, cooperative, and kind. So these people will empathize when people tell them of their misfortune. They might even offer ways to cope with their misfortune. With what Shakespeare described as the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. The author of this text puts it very simply, and he dispels karma with two arguments. The first argument that he infers is non-duality. Bad things happen because of bad karma, and good things happen because of good karma. The idea of badness and goodness is in fact duality. But if we practice mindfulness and meditation correctly, then when we relax into our meditation, whatever goodness or badness we noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as if it was melting into the simplicity of just behavior. Now, someone might say, does that mean we just run around like lawless Visigoths and perpetuate acts of cruelty and violence? No. The more we authentically practice mindfulness and meditation, the more we calm, the more our amygdala, the seat of anxiety and aggression, is spontaneously calmed. And the more our anterior cingulate gyrus, the seat of empathy, is excited. So nonviolence and love are involuntary fringe benefits of mindfulness and meditation. So on this path of meditation's non-duality, cruelty becomes something that we are repelled by, and kindness becomes as natural as sneezing during hay fever season. It's not something we force ourselves to do, it's something we cannot help but do. And then there's a second thing. And we come now to the second argument posed or inferred by the author of this text. On second thought, I'd rather let my first argument sink in while we relaxingly recite this passage a second time. That which is the equality of all distinctions is erroneously conceived by saying it is punitive karma. Money. Were it really under the power of unalterable fate, self-originated wisdom could not exist. So now we come to the second argument the author infers. As we relax into our exhalation, whatever confusion, whatever clinging, whatever aversion we might have noticed during our previous inhalation could feel fleetingly less poignant, less permanent, less tangible. The wisdom we experience during our relaxing exhalation is the wisdom of letting go. It is the wisdom of visceral change. It is the opposite of karma. Karma is stagnation. You are suffering now, and you will always suffer because of your karma. You are blessed now, you will always be blessed because of your karma. This thing is going on, and you can't change it until it exhausts for over the span of thousands and thousands and thousands of years, which is practical permanence. But that's not what the Buddha taught. The Buddha taught the good news of the wisdom of letting go. If there was such a thing as a curse, no curse can withstand the gale force winds of impermanence. Bearing this in mind, let us relaxingly recite this passage 2 more times. That which is the equality of all distinctions is erroneously conceived of by saying it is punitive karma. Were it really under the power of unalterable fate, self-originated wisdom could not exist. Final repetition. That which is the equality of all distinctions is erroneously conceived of by saying it is punitive karma. Were it really under the power of unalterable fate, the self-originated wisdom of letting go could not exist. Having completed our opening lesson, it's time for us to shift gears. It is Rey Skywalker Sunday morning. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is the Dzogchen Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School. For more than 30 years, I've harnessed my autistic special interests, as well as my ADHD hyperfocus, to spend about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that I can become your personal, nerdy, neurodivergent guide to nirvana. Welcome, my friends, to Meditate Like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. Let us continue now. Well, I'm having some problems with my side. Please bear with me. Okay. Well, let's move forward. Let us continue with the latest iteration of very easy meditation practice text, or sadhana, if you're nasty. It's just so weird looking. Okay. Please chant with me. Whatever comes, may all beings notice, relax and flow. Whatever stays, may all beings notice, relax and flow. Whatever goes, may all beings notice, relax and flow. On the tip. Let's skip that and move ahead. The key to sitting sustainably is to understand that the majority of Buddhist art has been influenced by patriarchy's elitism. For archaeologists demonstrate that the most ancient Buddhist statuary does not depict the Buddha sitting in the full lotus posture, rather the quarter lotus posture, where one leg is resting comfortably upon the other, like two pieces of bread in a sandwich. If you're going to attempt this posture, allow me to remind you not to treat the knee like a hip, but to rather treat the hip like a hip, for the knee is just a hinge joint and the hip is a ball socket. Number 2, to exercise patience. The first time you strive to sit in the quarters lotus posture, our limbs might not cooperate. That's fine. Do not force them. Just reconcile yourself to temporary imperfection and sit as best you can for at least 5 minutes once every 12 hours or so. Within a week or two, our body will remember the flexibility of its youth. Let's take a moment to review the mechanics of mindfulness and meditation, beginning with mindfulness. Every time we belly breathe in, we are wired, thanks to our sympathetic nervous system, to notice, in a very special way, to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. What do we do with that which we notice? We meditate. You see, every time we exhale, oopsie, that was weird. You see, every time we exhale through the nose, we are wired to access the parasympathetic nervous system, which helps us to both physically relax as well as mentally release. In light of the importance of both the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems, what's the most efficient and effortless way for us to cooperate with them? Simple. During our belly breath in, we can silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this. During our nostril breath out, we can silently and mentally recite the verb ease. At first, this could seem a little clunky, but practice at least 5 minutes every 12 hours or so, and within a week or two, it could feel like old hat. Together, let's practice. Upon the tip of our left index finger, we could rest the great knuckle at the base of our right index finger, palms up in our lap. Doing so could gently invite our real or imagined subtle energies to automatically coalesce at the crown region of our head. Every time we experience a gut-oriented inhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this that helps us to cooperate with our sympathetic nervous system, which is already wired to help us to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice mind's antics of perception. You know, sights, sounds, sensations, flavors, scents, and the like, including the full spectrum of human emotions, intentions, cognitions, recollections, and imaginings. During each nostril-oriented exhalation, we could silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease, that we might better cooperate with our parasympathetic nervous system, which has evolved to support both physical relaxation as well as mental release. Together, let us practice right now. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 8 hours, I would very much like to return to lead today's evening meditation class and group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.